A wizard's ancient spell.
Into the eyes of the dragon and the despair.
And the lust of a lord.
I must have her. One night with her.
Give birth to an empire.
Behold, the sword of power, Excalibur.
The future has taken root in the present. It is done.
One Lord, one King.
Orion Pictures presents John Boorman's Excalibur.
Knights of the Round Table, we shall always come together in a circle to hear and tell of deeds good and brave. And I will marry.
Don't you know me, Merlin? Because I'm a creature like you.
Their magic is Merlin.
Are you just a dream? To some.
A nightmare to others.
Their king is Arthur.
You are my husband.
I must be king first.
Their power is Excalibur.
I swear eternal faith to our king.
Sir Lancelot, you will be my champion.
Which is that? Greatest quality of knighthood.
Truth.
We're hides evil then.
Where you never expected.
I protest my innocence.
Were I not king, I would make you pay with your life.
A world of wizards, kings, warriors, queens, swords, sorcery, and desire. Forged of splendor and magic, where future meets past, flesh meets steel, and the only fear is the pain of love. Excalibur, sword of power, sword of kings.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another ToB Film Club. As always, I'm Julian Misha. I'm joined by Jeremy Kozier.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about the 1981 action-adventure fantasy film directed by John Boorman, written by Thomas Mallory.
Is it Berman or Boorman?
I think it's Boorman. You're right.
Yeah, you said it wrong.
You're right. My apologies to John Boorman and his family. Also written
Still
by
alive.
Well, that doesn't mean I can't apologize to his family as well. And that's
I don't know that for sure. I feel like it's pretty old.
Yeah, we shouldn't jump to conclusions. He was pretty old.
It says born January 18th, 1933. It does not say.
There's 33. There's no way. How is that possible? that he's got to be like 90 something or something, right?
Why wouldn't that be possible? People are past 100.
That's true.
So he is.
I guess he's still alive. Yeah. So again, apologies to John Boorman, Hollywood director. Again, written by Thomas Mallory, Rospo Pallenberg, and John Boorman as well, starring Nigel Terry, Helen Mirren, Nicholas Clay, Paul Jeffrey, Nicole
Syrian
Williamson,
Hines.
Liam Neeson. He pops up for like 2 seconds. Patrick Stewart. Yeah, he's in there. It's a really who's who at the zoo here at this cast. But what's the name of the movie? It's called Excalibur. It's rated PG. No, I don't believe that. There's some really no way. Maybe that did we see like a director's cut or something? Because I don't feel like what we saw was PG. I think this predates PG-13, so it's probably what it is. But man. Anyway, it comes in at 2 hours, 20 minutes, a real epic. The Green Knight, which is like 3 and a bit hours long, feels like a breeze compared to this movie, but we'll talk about that. Anyway, we're going to spoil this whole thing. Possibly some things from The Last Duel, possibly some things from The Green Knight, possibly some things from that Guy Ritchie King Arthur movie that I can never remember the name of.
Possibly Batman versus Superman. There's lots to discuss here, but we're gonna spoil it all.
So if you're new to this, that must mean you are a new subscriber to our Patreon. And I have to thank you and everyone who supports us for your patronage. It helps keep the lights on, especially in this busy summertime where it's hard to get things scheduled. So it's very much appreciated. And this is why we get together and we watch these crazy movies because you guys are able to help support the show. So thank you. Okay. Jeremy, did you say you've seen this movie before or no?
I have not, no.
You had not. Okay. Can I go first? I want to go first about kind of just the overall take of this movie. Can I go first?
Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
This movie is batshit insane. It's unhinged insanity. Okay. Some parts of it are brilliant. Other parts of it are absolutely dog shit terrible. I couldn't look away. It was like a train wreck happening in slow motion. It's it's impenetrable. Like it just basically begs the audience to like disengage from whatever it's trying to do. It's constantly trying to confuse you. It's like one giant dream sequence over and over and over and over again. It simultaneously looks amazing but also terrible at the exact same time. Like like I love that they all have these like gleaming, shining armor, right? It's like really taking the knights in shining armor concept to its like most extreme. But the way they move in these coats of armor are absolute. It's boring. It's like watching these big dudes like fumble around and trip over themselves as action sequences, and it's like so. They've got this beautiful set, right, and this amazing iconography of shining knights, and then they just look like buffoons bashing into each other. So that's
obviously the dated nature.
I think you're right. You're right.
I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing with Star Wars in terms of the lightsaber.
Oh, exactly, 100%.
You know what I mean?
Although
like
Jeremy,
it's one of those things.
Yeah.
You have to just kind of concede to it of its time.
They just like couldn't think of anything more interesting to do with the action than at one point there's a scene where like knights like slide down a small hill. It's like the funniest thing I've ever seen.
I remember when I was seeing all them like do the action in the suit of armor, like good for them. Like they're like standing straight, like clearly, they're doing the proper maneuvering and strength and everything. But it obviously is difficult, but it's like it's being nailed on film. So it's like I wasn't really complaining in that regard. But then it's like the sound, right? Because for such an old movie to I guess the set like the audio is just it's very put together and slapped over top because obviously they're just in so many different locations.
Well, it's pure. Everything is ADR, right? Like every line is ADR'd.
But once you get past that, it's like it's hard to get past that, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But I mean, I wasn't too put off by all those things.
You're like the movie's begging me to disengage. It really wants me not to care, but I'm gonna keep caring. I find it's just very confusing. Also, the movie, I find so many people look exactly the same. You're supposed to like keep track of who each of these knights are based on like their armor or whatever, and like maybe some light facial hair, and it's so hard. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Did you have a problem with that? Was that just me?
I did not have a problem with that. I'm very visually in tune.
Okay, got it.
I feel like
okay, got it. Just a me problem. All right, understood. Anyway, what's your general vibe? I just think for me, like the vibe of this movie is like I wish they'd made a Lord of the Rings movie like this at the time, so we could look at it now in comparison to Lord of the Rings today and be like, wow, look how stupid that looks.
The director was trying to get a Lord of the Rings movie off the ground.
I wish it happened. I'm
honestly pretty sure that was what was going on, and then it just ended up turning into an animated movie or something around that time period, and then he went on to make this.
Right.
But obviously characters like Merlin and stuff, like
there's some direct allusions.
A lot of parallels there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Merlin looked stupid. This movie looks dumb. I'm sorry.
So you weren't able to just sink into.
I was having a really hard time, Jeremy. I really,
we met 1981, right? Like
I know. And they're all taking it so seriously, even though most of the line readings are like very bad. And like some of the performances
that's probably the translation from whatever, like the Arthurian like text or whatever.
I
like
guess it's
whoever the scribe was who wrote like the main adventures or whatever.
Yeah, like the original tales. I mean, but they've been translated over and over and over.
Because that's again, why like this movie is basically like it's kind of known as like the version of that.
It tells myth. It tells all of the stories. It's like, hey, here's the origin of Arthur. Here is his entire life in every moment, and then here is his death, and then the movie's over. But that sounds like it's short, but it's like there is so many like entire sequences.
Like, but there's still like a journey with Arthur. I mean, it's quite like just so much crazy dramatic things.
It's so
happen, right?
wild.
Like yeah, but it's like laced with that mystical, like the magic, like the Lady of the Lake and like just the sword itself and how it appears in Merlin's whole deal.
I love how the sword appears the first time, by the way. I think it's like
the visual shot. I think visually everything is phenomenal. I think it's
that wedding
striking.
Scene
there's slow-mo.
So cool.
Everything's perfectly framed. It's all on location. It's all real.
There's that
to me was super refreshing.
The money shot when they're like riding into battle at the end of the movie, and it's like they have the camera facing Arthur as he's riding on the horse through the like flowery trees, you know.
Mm-hmm. They had that crazy song,
and the epic classic, song, which you know is like
like it does all the lifting already with that song.
I know.
Then you get these amazing visuals of slow-mo horses and knights.
Yes, that is really cool. I agree. That is really cool.
This is 1981. Imagine being a child watching this.
Yeah, you would be blown away.
A child watching Star Wars.
I think this movie is a lot harder to get into than Star Wars. It's like
I would agree with that.
It's much
Star Wars has so much cool tech things going on.
Well, it's not even just the tech. I think it's like the story is just much more relatable, right? This is also like grand.
This is like you just become a king out of nowhere because you're.
He literally becomes a king out of nowhere.
Well, he was abandoned as a baby, right, or something.
He's stolen by Merlin as a baby.
Oh, right.
Because his dad makes that rapey deal with him. Where he's like, listen, transform me into this guy, and then
that was actually pretty crazy when the mom had to give up the baby, though.
Yeah, and then she's like, give it back. Yeah, it's so that I agree with you, Jeremy.
And like, and how the father, just like so willing to do it.
He had to. He signed. Yeah. This is another thing. They made an oath. This movie has like these rules that everyone has to follow, no matter what. Like, there's no personal bias. Really, it's just like, nope. I made an oath, or I am a knight, therefore I must make the right decision. Which feels very Arthurian, obviously.
That's like laced in there with like the Knights of the Round Table and like what they're trying to do for the greater good and stuff. Like that's all. I also always been a part of it.
You know, I get a whole new appreciation for the Monty Python's Holy Grail, right? Because that movie is just a skewering of this one, and it's very funny now, even funnier now in retrospect, because I'd never seen the original. There's a moment in this movie that I laughed out loud, though. It was when...
Oh, for sure.
It was... Well, there's a couple, but there's a moment that I think of the most is when he... It's both really stupid and really cool at the same time. When he's like, I think I'll build a round table. I'm like, really? Like, it's like... And the way he says it is like this perfect, like, yes, a round table. You're all... And like winking at the audience basically the whole time. But then he continues by saying, and I'll build a chamber around it and a castle around that. And that's actually pretty cool, that those other parts.
Yeah, that's like the epic speech.
Yeah. But before this is one of the big problems I have with this movie, right? I like it in certain moments, at like sequence to sequence, like moment to moment, there's like really cool stuff that's happening, or like one really good performance or monologue is given, and in this kind of like really dramatic setting. And it's beautifully shot, and you're like, wow, this movie is very engaging. And then there's other moments where it's just so convoluted and confusing, and it just jumps from moment to moment. And the worst parts are when we just skip over entire characterizations. Like these characters aren't really characters. They're kind of more just caricatures. They're these kind of like, it just looks like people reading lines basically to fill these roles. They don't feel like real people because there's like, I'll give you an example. King Arthur, right? He pulls the sword from the stone. There's this debate over should he be king, should he be not king? Okay, that goes back and forth for a while. And when he first pulls it out, he's like, "Oh, oops, I'm so sorry I did that." Right? And he's like, "Oh, I don't know how to be king. I can't be king. You take it." Right? And then like 2 seconds later, he's giving like the most badass speech as King Arthur you've ever heard. And it's like,
so it's just too quick.
It doesn't make sense. Yeah. He's like, "Oh, I don't know to be king." He's like, "No, you have to be king. Here's the sword." And then he jumps on the horse and he's like, "If ye be knights and you shall follow a king, follow me into battle." And you're like, "Yeah." But like, he just like, you just said you didn't know what you're doing, you know?
Yeah, but maybe wielding the sword gives you that sort of insight and that like orientation on like what you need to do.
I guess it's unclear what the sword does, right? It's just a sword of power.
Yeah, exactly.
It does kind of cut through people like a lightsaber, though. You know?
Yeah, yeah. The battle with him and Lancelot is actually super epic.
Yes, there's some legitimately badass moments in this movie. That's what I was talking about. You've seen The Last Duel, yeah?
Yeah. No, I haven't.
I think you should see it. I think you should see it.
I'm just waiting till I get it on 4K.
It is a beautiful movie. I think it heavily is like, I wouldn't say inspired. It just borrows a lot of things from this movie. Like how they do the duels in this is very similar how they do the duels with
Ben Affleck. A double feature really with BVS and his character too.
Well, exactly. Okay,
similarities to King Arthur.
It's and like the way, well, that movie has this like Rashomon style where you see the events play out by from three different perspectives. One of them's Matt Damon's, one of them's Adam Driver's, one of them is I can't remember who the woman is in the movie, and now I sound like an asshole, but it's really good. And again, it's kind of much more grounded than this. This doesn't pretend to be grounded. Everything is highly stylized
into that fantasy, Lord of the Rings type tone.
Yeah, I just wish it had more of like a steady through line. You know, it just feels like you're going from like large epic moment in someone's life to large epic moment in someone's life.
Because I guess that's what they're translating, right? Is this hero's journey of King Arthur,
right?
In these big moments that redefine, and so we're seeing them in a 2-hour movie, kind of all grouped together, and it's going to be separated.
Yeah, I mean, you could almost break this up into like a little mini series, and each one is like each mini short film, I guess, could be played independently and make sense. You know, I don't know if necessarily that's a better way to do it, but it just seems like trying to squeeze the entirety of King Arthur's life into one 2.5 hour movie makes it feel really bloated. Or you're just not giving moments enough time to breathe. Like the very beginning of the movie is like super dark, but we just like don't linger on that, and we move on to the next thing, and then the tone shifts again dramatically.
That's what I was kind of like just accepting of, is like, we're here to see King Arthur and his rise and fall or whatever. I want to just kind of get to that. So you have that opening sequence, which is pretty sweet, and he's in a total different position at that time. And then, he pulls the sword out of the stone, and that's kind of all you really need to know.
Yeah, and the movie doesn't really hold your hand either. It's like, figure it out. This is Arthur. Mm-hmm. We just skipped like 20 years of time, right? I think, like I said, I think largely I enjoy the like epic moments. Again, that wedding is super cool because the way it's like intercut.
The music too,
and the music is like, but the way they filmed it makes it look so surreal. Like there's this long staircase up, and everything's glowing, and Guinevere is wearing this like chainmail veil, and it's like it just looks badass. Like there's no other way to describe it, right?
And everything just flips on its head with Guinevere and Lancelot.
Yeah, this is exactly back to the kind of like you have one tone for this part of the movie, and then then one thing happens, and it's like, and it feels jarring. I don't know if maybe it was just me that felt this, but like you would jump to like
that's probably the intention.
One thing to the next, and it was like we're leaving that behind, and there's not a smooth transition between these moments. It's like, okay, now we're into the love triangle section of the epic. That's going to be very dramatic and very kind of like, kind of dreamlike, right? Where he's like fighting the sword, and then they duel, and it's like it's very cool, but more stylized than other moments. Other moments feel more grounded. Again, I think I'm just wishing for more consistency. I didn't know what to expect really, other than the movie was, dated, quote unquote. And you can feel the datedness of it. But I guess I was hoping for something that was less kind of like art house theater, because that's what it feels like at times, right? There's these moments that are very, very good. But
it's also cool seeing like Patrick Stewart do his thing for a little bit, like just super into the role.
That is true.
So young. And then same with Liam Neeson, like, because he's kind of the one that breaks he's like he breaks the news of the cheating going on, right? Like he has some sort of feeling or whatever. We really see it on his face, and like the slow kind of burn he's causing Arthur to like take his words.
Gawain. That's it. Which of course we all remember. Of course, Gawain. Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think there's moments where like the performances are so good. And then you're like, wow, that's really cool to see these people like giving it all. This almost like Shakespearean kind of overly dramatic thing. And that's super entertaining. There's no disagreement there. So you said, you kind of put that stuff aside, the stuff that kind of maybe irking me. Was there anything about this movie that didn't work for you, or that you thought was like, maybe that could have been done better?
I mean, I guess all those like feelings pop up, but like you said, the notion that I was accepting its datedness, like that kind of just washed over me. So nothing really jumped out where I was like, ooh, that's rough. But even though I can agree if you think that way, for certain things,
it's just unavoidable.
I just thought a lot of things were super slick though, like just with like the lady in the water and that visual, Merlin kind of just always being around and saying like crazy things. I thought was cool.
But did you find that Merlin's personality kind of like vastly changed from moment to moment or from scene to scene? Like sometimes he's like very jokey, almost almost like a comedian, and then there's other times where
doesn't that happen to Gandalf?
I was just gonna say there's some that's very Gandalf-esque, I suppose. But it doesn't feel as maybe as consistent from a characterization standpoint. Maybe I'm being nitpicky. I don't know. Like I said, I thought he looked dumb. And actually, to be honest, I also thought King Arthur looked kind of dumb. There's this moment where he's like, he's charging on that castle alone in those leather armor, and it just looks stupid. And it's not the movie's fault. I can't help it. It's like it's 2023. I'm seeing a movie from like 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Like for the first time, it's just gonna be moments that just don't work for me.
It's insane seeing Helen Mirren as like a young person.
Oh my God.
I feel like
very sensual.
Only know her as a old woman.
Yeah. Right. She's great, to be honest. The problem here's the other thing though with this movie. She's the other big twist though, right? She causes the whole the last level twist. Well, yeah, when she steals her own baby.
Yeah. But the baby is how the baby is made or whatever.
Yeah, that is legitimately crazy, right?
And then he battles the baby.
Yeah. You're right.
And then, so Helen, like Morgana, the character name, just manipulates Arthur and Lancelot to, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Lancelot is kind of like not a character also because he appears, he's a bit of a dweeb, right? He's like, I can't be beaten. And then, then Arthur, it's so weird. Things like just happen. Be like, oh, well, it has happened in the thing, so it has to happen here. Even though I don't feel like it necessarily makes sense. Like he breaks Excalibur to defeat Lancelot, right? And then he's just immediately given a brand new Excalibur. Like, oh.
But when he beats him, he feels like guilt because he feels like he cheated. Yeah. Right. And that's kind of the similarity with Batman and Superman and their battle.
So that's okay. So that's where you feel like
the spear
at the end specifically.
Kryptonite.
Are you thinking like?
Like that's
like the very end. Is that where you like? Where are you seeing the biggest like connection to BVS here?
Well, it's Arthur is Batman, Bruce, and Lancelot is Superman.
Right. Okay.
Like they battle each other. You have the sword of power. You have kryptonite spear.
Right.
Batman defeats him, but sees some wrong in what he's doing. Casts the spear and kryptonite away, just like Arthur cast the sword away. Then it comes back into play.
Right. Yeah, and it glows green. Yeah. Yeah. So that's not subtle, I suppose.
And then Superman and Batman coming together to fight Lex's Doomsday, which is like Helen Mirren's Morgana's
son, Mordred. Yeah,
Mordred. And then in BVS, when Superman, that's a change to that though. That would be Lancelot takes the spear and stabs Doomsday, and then also pulls himself forward.
The suicide kill.
But then pulls himself on Doomsday's like spike.
It's so cool.
And same with here and with Arthur and Mordred.
Anytime someone is sacrificing themselves and they have a spear through them and they can pull themselves closer to like finish off the villain is automatically badass. Doesn't that happen in Gladiator also? And
yeah, probably.
I can see it happening in a million things, right? Mm-hmm. Which is why it's bad, but it's just like every time it's badass. So I agree.
But here is it first? Is it the first to do it here?
I don't know, but I don't. I'm not sure. There's no way to know, but I can tell you that it's I found by the end of this movie, like by that moment, like I wasn't invested enough in like Mordred as a character and Arthur even because I feel like he takes a back seat for a lot of the back half of the movie or back third of the movie maybe. So
because they have to go into that new adventure where they seek out the Grail, the Grail, because that's part of the legend,
right? It's like, oh well, we have to do the Grail
just
thing
out of nowhere. We got
exactly. I honestly, Jeremy, I was so confused because it's like they're like, oh, this crazy thing happened, and then he gets struck by lightning. I'm like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, everything there's like, oh, how does the Grail, the mystery of the Grail, the king and the land are one. It's like, oh, right, that's the riddle's answer. And then it's like we're back on track, right? To fight Morgana again. And it's like, what a detour! What a huge we think we're headed to the end. You see the light at the end of the tunnel. By the way, speaking of which, there's that really cool. It's where it's hard to tell the difference between dream sequences and real moments. But there's this moment where Lancelot refuses to die. And like he sees the light and he like climbs over that bridge and like drops down. No, sorry, who is it? That's not Lancelot. That's what's his name? Percival. He's hanging from that. He's hanging from that thing.
And and then the armor is like slowly cutting away.
Exactly. That's a
that's
really
crazy.
awesome moment. And then like the way he falls from the thing. Yeah, exactly. I feel like the movie largely misses tension. It's just kind of like,
really?
I
think it's pretty throughout. No,
I think that there's moments, right? The opening
like
has tension.
like the Lancelot Arthur battle is pretty tense because the build up to it's pretty wild. Like their conversations. Then I thought that's when I kind of laughed when they like set up their duel where they're like, you do like is it jousting or whatever?
Yes.
That was kind of silly, but like that's just of its era. Like that's what you did.
But I think the characters also disappear for long periods. Like, so again, Helen Mirren
they kind of come and go.
Is so good in this movie. And she's not in it enough because we get introduced to her as a character at the very beginning of the story, right? Right when, as a baby, when Arthur is stolen, right? And then she doesn't come back into the movie until like the wedding, right? Which is, I guess, about halfway through, and then doesn't really have any significant presence for another like 20 minutes, half an hour, and after that. And I just like that. Same thing with like Percival. He's like, oh, here's Percival. He's a brand new knight. He steps up when no one else is going to step up, but then he still doesn't get to fight. And then he's gone for the movie for a while and comes back and he becomes like the main character during that whole Holy Grail sequence. And then he's gone again and then he's back again at the end. It's like, I found it jarring. And again, I don't know. Because like the moments in between, I can't stress this enough, are super cool. Like when Percival throws the sword back into the lake at the end of the movie. Except for the fact that we had to watch him go to do it, not do it, go back to Arthur, get a speech, and then go do it. Which feels like we could have probably cut out one of those times, right?
Yeah, I think you asked me earlier. That was like, whoa, really? Like, I thought it was, to me, it felt like a Lord of the Rings type thing where he's like taking the sword, like the power for himself.
Yeah, almost.
But then almost, yeah.
but then, nah. No, we'll just.
But then it's like whatever. Like, what's so wrong about that, right? Like that's also what I was thinking. Yeah. It's like whatever. It's just like a grand tale, adventure epic.
I think.
And
that's
like, how do you remember movies, anyways? Right? You remember movies by their moments. You don't remember the whole.
That's
movie
true.
In terms of its like pitch perfect like pacing. You remember the moments, the scenes.
Yeah, but you remember how you feel also, right? And if the pacing can't draw out that tension, like again, in certain moments it does, but not always, then you feel like you'll remember looking back on it and say, there was some really cool stuff. I remember this and that, but I also remember being bored at other times, right? And I think you hit the nail on the head.
Merlin had those red contacts in and was saying those crazy spells.
Yeah, why did he look into the eyes of the dragon and despair? It just comes out of nowhere. But yeah.
Well, he has that one sick line too where he says the future has been rooted in the present or whatever, which is a line in Justice League.
So wait, did Zack Snyder just watch this movie like, this is it? This is the tone we're looking for?
Well, yeah, like that's why I suggested this movie, because I watched him on that interview with the Russo brothers,
right?
And they were just talking about things that inspired them, or what they saw when they were kids, which was Star Wars, Excalibur, and then in Batman v Superman, the opening sequence with the Waynes when they're at the theater, you see there's a poster of Zorro, but there's also a poster of Excalibur.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's kind of and then there's all these parallels between the story with the characters. So
yeah, I mean, he really, I think it seems like he grasped onto this like,
yeah, because he wanted to do wanted to do the mythological take, like, treat these DC icons as these legends, these myths, and kind of graft that hero's journey or that he saw here in Excalibur.
I find, so I get that. I feel like I understand that on a conceptual level, but then when I see this movie, for instance, that the tone that they're going for, this kind of like larger than life, legendary, mythical feeling, it's very emotionally detached. And it's not it's not about so much a character as it is a statue, a concept, right? And again, really cool, I think, conceptually, but lacks empathy. Like I have a hard time caring about Arthur as a like real character. I think, I guess if that's a part of the challenge of what was difficult for some, maybe with the Snyderverse, was that the characters they didn't feel like people all the time. And they're in exchange, like I think Lex, for instance, is the worst. And I just got roasted on Twitter about this the other day. I said Lex Luthor in Snyder, the Snyderverse was bad, and I'll die on that hill. And then I got like 10 people saying that I should just do it already, which I was not expecting, to be honest.
Well, how are you expecting that?
I just didn't expect that. Anyway, the point is, like, there's this moment where he's like extolling this whole, he's staring at this painting and he's extolling this whole thing about gods and the coming to Earth and yada, yada, yada. And it's so ridiculous. There's moments in this movie that are very similar to that, that completely detach you from reality because no one behaves.
Yeah, but I think that's like jarring and shocking and cool because you have this super intelligent person who has this knowledge of essentially what would be gods to humans in the DC universe or whatever. But it's not like how we think of gods. It's these ultra being aliens,
sure,
that we know as DC villains. So to treat it with that tone is just so cool. And imagining those worlds clashing, which we got a taste of, which would only get even more epic.
Yeah, it does get more epic, and I think because of that, maybe Zack Snyder's Justice League is a good example because there's amazing moments in that, but it's 4 hours long. It is this big epic. It has ups and downs, again, similar to this movie. And I think it just misses that empathetic connection to some characters. And not all the time, but across the whole experience, I feel like, at least for me, this is my opinion.
Yeah.
That when I'm in it, what makes a movie work for me is like having this not necessarily profound, but when it is profound, that is exciting. A profound human experience, right? That you're unlikely to be able to ever experience yourself, but you're taken on this journey, right? And I think we sometimes confuse being taken on a journey with a literal, climb the top of this mountain. And isn't that, show the biggest thing or the biggest explosion. And that's what grabs us. And I think what it really is being able to like plunge the depths of, human emotion to some degree, right? To use those strings, your heartstrings.
Isn't that what the Snyderverse is kind of based upon? Is characters going through severely emotional
trauma
circumstances, and we see the relatability in the overcoming of that, but it's in a fantasy role.
I think it's too detached. I think the characters are too aloof, both in this film and in the Snyderverse, to kind of have that. Again, what I'm missing is the emotional connection, right? And I'm not saying that it's not there all the time, because I think it is. And again, I'm talking about Excalibur, also Snyderverse to some degree, because I think there's much more in common than I originally thought going into this. But that's where it loses me, right? I am when I am the most gripped into a movie, it's when I am, to some degree, being
Not
asked
challenged.
to experience being asked to experience some emotion or concept that I've never experienced before, or I haven't experienced in a long time, or is deeply profound or troubling or whatever, right? Something that can move you.
Right there.
Right. I don't know. I might be getting ahead of myself a little bit for a movie called Excalibur, but there's just been a lot of talk about like what makes a blockbuster work and what doesn't, right? I suppose some of the same arguments I said could be used for things like Top Gun, right? Where there isn't really emotional through line, but yet they manage to make you connect to something, to an ideal or a concept or whatever, and that in that case it works.
Well,
and there's something that's hard to tell.
That movie it's the thrill of it. It's
right.
you know what I mean? It's the literal thrill, visceral.
Yeah, so that's
movement,
what you're connecting to, right? This kind of
and then
pure energy, right?
Yeah. And then you have really good performances latching onto that energy, being worked by that energy or working that energy. And Tom Cruise was doing that perfectly throughout the whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, and I think a good performance can inject energy into a movie as well. There's moments in this movie that are really cool. There's a moment I think about when Arthur gets the sword back from Guinevere, and he's like, there was a dream I had of you emerging from the road and coming to me and calling me your husband or whatever. And it's like, wow, he really means that, like that was the feeling I got when I watched that. And that wasn't the feeling I got the entire movie.
There you go. You're like, okay, King Arthur's a good guy.
right. At that moment. Yeah. Even though he had fought, the whole reason they got into this was because he fought Lancelot. He didn't have to. He's like, must I kill him? That
Lancelot dream was pretty crazy, where he was naked and getting sliced up.
Oh, what? That
was a crazy scene.
Jeremy, I was like, I literally said out loud, what the fuck is happening? There's the coolest part though is when he like pulls it out of his side, right?
Oh yeah.
I thought it was like, I don't know how they did that exactly. It's a little trick of the light or whatever, but it looks like he literally pulled a sword out of his like flesh,
Yeah.
A makeup and some combination of that. It was really cool. And then he wakes up and then he turns out he has also a cut on his side, right? Which is a cool kind of idea. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that the movie largely works. I don't think it's something I would revisit necessarily anytime soon. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna like crave this movie, but I might like look up moments from it.
Maybe the 4K remaster.
Is that coming? I would have loved. I remember we Googled this, and they're like it's never gonna happen, but maybe.
Well, I think I say this a lot when it comes to these old movies, but if they just get a little bit of a remix, you know what I mean? Like just get some people who were involved before or fans of it and just
touch ups, Is that
well, yeah, you just you cut things out, you change up, you differ the music in terms of you use the same like feeling music,
right? But you use it a little differently. There's the moment at the end in the final battle when King Arthur's like his army's about to arrive and they're playing that epic song, the ba, 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 but it's like they cut back to the other army and it's like silent and it's like so jarring. And then they're like, wait, listen. And then they extend their ears and then you can like hear that music playing faintly in the distance, which I think seems like a cool idea in concept. There's a lot of that in this movie. Like that's a cool idea in concept. And then in practice, it's like it comes off very cheesy where it's like, wait, is the music representing the army now? Like, is this like, are we doing this whole metaphor? Are we supposed to imagine that they're hearing the army and the music is also the army? So it's just like, it becomes a little bit like a hat on a hat. He doesn't need that, just let the music do the work and, get into this action sequence. So it kind of like outworks itself there, I feel like. Anything else you want to mention about this movie?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. So we'll end on this. A user review from IMDb. And appropriately enough, it's a 10 out of 10. This is by Cynic Olson. titled Excalibur, the best of King Arthur films. Excalibur is a truly atmospheric film. It has the ability to take you back in time as it depicts with these action sequences without using sentimentality or rose-tinted spectacles. I don't know about that. I disagree. There's definitely some sentimentality in this, like this whole concept of Lancelot being, wed to the fight, and only falling for Guinevere. And it's like you're gonna tell me that there's no sentimentality in that? I don't know about that. Having seen the film numerous times, I still get more out of it with every viewing. I can see that, right? I can see being able to kind of just like separate yourself from what's happening and just kind of take in the moments. I could see that. Anyway, back to the review. It certainly seemed to start many careers on the right path, and many of the actors are very well known now. My only sadness is that Paul Jeffrey and Nigel Terry, two of the main character actors, seem to not have become such household names. It is true. They both stand out in the film, and to my mind, have made it what it was. Brilliant. Great direction, production, photography, and music. King Arthur himself would have been proud of it. Yeah, I mean, I think if you just like boil it down to brass tacks, this is like for the time, right? 1981, so filmed in the late 70s. A really well executed look at kind of like quote unquote the Dark Ages, which you're not supposed to call them that anymore. But this kind of glimpse back in time to this kind of idealized version of medieval knights in a shining armor, right? But it's held back by some clunky writing, some poor pacing, and some odd decisions. We'll just say I feel like this movie would be wild on mushrooms. Like, you know what I mean? Any final thoughts?
I think I would definitely watch it again. Like, I'm not like done with it per se.
Yeah, like when the 4K comes out. I think you're right about that. Yeah.
And just with all its twists and where where it goes and whatnot, like I think it'll be cool just to watch it, knowing kind of how it leads
right
into the next things it does.
Yeah, it's obviously an influence, right? I mean, I joked at the beginning that I wish there was a version of this for Lord of the Rings that was made around the same time, so we could look back on it and say how stupid it looks compared to the version we have now. But
yeah, but even Lord of the Rings probably,
that's what I mean. I think in reality,
Peter Jackson was definitely influenced.
There's no way you could see this movie and not see how certain things were influencing basically every form of fantasy storytelling in that time.
Oh yeah, that too, which is pretty. That's a massive, appeal that it has.
Yeah, I think there's this whole idea that most of our stories, or lots of our stories, have these kind of origins in Arthurian myth, and so especially in the Western world, right? Of good versus evil, of right versus wrong, and they influence everything from Star Wars to Star Trek to Lord of the Rings to a million different things, right? James Bond even, right? And then getting to tap into the pure source, be like, this is where it all comes from, can feel a bit overwhelming, right? It's kind of like every trope that you've ever seen ever in any action adventure movie, especially anything with, a fantasy setting, is done here, right? Magic, people's children are still stolen by witches, and there's wizards casting spells and curses and oaths, and like all those things are like inherent and core to the stories of King Arthur. But it doesn't always mean it's a great story necessarily in today retold in a kind of our modern trappings. But it's so epic in its kind of time capsule nature that you can't help but kind of respect it. Does that make sense? I feel like I went on a little ramble there.
I feel that.
All right. Well, on that note, let's wrap this sucker up and move on to what is next month's movie, the month of July. There's so many options. Ultimately,
is there?
Of course, there's so many. I was thinking about how, obviously, we have Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning Part 1. By the way, I was talking to some the other day that's like not really following movies, and they're like, oh man, isn't it crazy how many sequels for the Mission Impossible movies are? Like, what is there, like 8 of them now? And I'm like, well, yeah, it's about the right number. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, there's another one coming out. And they're like, oh, that's cool. What is it? I'm like, it's called the Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. And they're like, wait, what? What do you mean Part 1? Like, yeah, they're doing 2 of them, and they're both called Dead Reckoning. They're like, that's really badass title. I'm like, yeah, the movie seems really cool. But like, this is how I know this movie's not going to be as big as Tom Cruise hopes, because most real people that I talk to, normies as it were, have no idea that movie's about to come out.
Yeah, but it's the word of mouth.
I think it is going to be really badass. Have you rewatched the trailer recently?
I've not, no.
There's this like line. It feels like it's in every Mission Impossible movie where it's talking about how, like, you know, you're washed up, Hunt. The world's changed. One man can't make a difference anymore, you know? And then you get to like look at Tom Cruise as he stares sternly at somebody and kind of like wills the world into the direction he wants it to. And you just can't help but get excited. You know what I mean? And then you cut to like Bourne-esque a car chase through tight streets in Europe. And then I get even more excited. So I am stoked for that, which makes me think that it would be a mistake not to revisit one of the earlier versions. Now, Jeremy, I'm gonna offer you a choice. Okay, we can do either Mission Impossible 2, okay, MI2, or Mission Impossible 3.
2.
Wait, do you want to think about that for a second?
Oh, I don't.
No? Okay. What? Okay, we'll do 2, which is generally regarded as the worst one. John Woo kind of being very indulgent. I feel like, here's what I'm going to say about this movie. I don't want to like spoil my take, but I know I'm going to say I was confused by how many people removed their face in the movie. I've seen it before. I know it's going to be coming, but it's been so long that I'm not going to guess every one, and I'm going to be like, oh, that one was too many. But you know, I'm going to keep an open mind. Okay, I'm going to try to keep an open mind. What is it about the second one that, like, is it his haircut, his long flowing?
No, I remember being disappointed in the longer hair for some reason. I just thought I was more partial to the shorter hair look. But it's just so much more stylized and over the top and fun and memorable to me, like as a whole and as moments.
That motorcycle chase is so
sick.
fucking cool. That's where the long hair really pays off, when it's like flowing in the wind.
When it's flowing in the wind.
Yeah. So good. Okay, so to some degree, I'm glad you picked 2 and not 3, because I was thinking about 3. And correct me if I'm wrong. My recollection of that movie is the MacGuffin of that film, the thing that they're chasing, is the most MacGuffin-y MacGuffin. It's the rabbit's foot. And
I don't remember.
Did they never
I just
say
know Philip Seymour Hoffman is the villain?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of mask things going on as well.
There's lots of mask things going on in that one. But I feel like better, more subtly handled in that one. There's that really great scene in the washroom where he steals Seymour Hoffman's face in front of him. That's a really cool moment. But again, this concept of the rabbit's foot is a complete nothing burger. It's like, it's literally never defined, and I don't know why. Maybe it shouldn't matter. Like, it's like, oh, it enabled all this cool action adventuring, but it really bugs me. And then I like Philip Seymour Hoffman as a villain. He's really chewing the scenery in that movie, but the way he goes out is a little cartoonish. He gets hit by a car and his shoe flies off. And that's what lands in frame.
Well, that's what would happen if you hit by a car.
Yeah, no, you're right. But it also, and I will give it this, it also has the moment where he's like sprinting along that river, and I think China or Japan. And the camera, it's like this a beautiful shot of like the running parallel with him, right? And then the camera pulling out and gets further and further out, but you can still see Tom Cruise sprinting as hard as he can. And I got to give the movie kudos for that, because I think that's really when the sprinting reached its zenith. You know, we've got a lot of it since, and we've had a lot of it before, but that was like, you see, he like pushes through people, and he's like going over bridges, and it's like, and then the scene lasts so long that you're like, how does anyone sprint that long? Like, because you can see him doing it. So, you know.
Well, it's all in the breathing.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, you would know. You're a runner now, right? Have you been practicing your breathing?
No, not really.
It just comes naturally to you?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so Mission Impossible 2. This actually makes it easier. That way I can watch MI1 and then MI2. By the way, the MI label, I think that didn't that come into like the third movie? We didn't refer to it as MI. Is the second one? But then it wasn't the third one. It was Mission Impossible 3, not MI3. And then later it was rebranded into MI3. Is that right?
MI2 is the name.
So it's not even called Mission Impossible 2.
Right.
Are you sure about that?
Yep.
Mission Impossible 2. Yeah. In IMDb, it says Mission: Impossible 2. And then on the poster, it says MI2. IMF agent Ethan Hunt is sent to Sydney to find and destroy a genetically modified disease called Chimera. At least they define what the villain is, like the MacGuffin is in this movie. There also, I forgot about the badass. We'll talk about this next week or next month, but the badass like rock climbing scene at the beginning of the movie is super sick. Yeah. All right. Look forward to a conversation about everyone's favorite Scientologist, Tom Cruise, but also Vin Rhames. You can't miss him. Brendan Gleeson's in this movie. Dominic Purcell. Who else? Doug Ray Scott, which I don't think I really know him. Thandie Newton, of course, can't forget.
Doug Ray Scott was supposed to be Wolverine.
Oh, interesting. But then because he was doing this movie?
Yep.
Oh, wild. Let's look at Doug Ray Scott.
Hugh Jackman got it.
You know what? I'm glad he didn't do it. I don't see it. No offense, Doug Ray Scott. Thandie Newton, which we've got a lot of in Westworld recently. John Polson. So it should be good. We'll look forward to that. And I think they were doing some 3D shenanigans in this one too. But obviously we were not going to be watching it in 3D. 6.1 is its IMDb rating. Again, I don't want to spoil next month's stuff. Let's wrap it up. All right. Thanks everyone for supporting the Tower Bible podcast. It's very thoughtful of you, I think. Is that weird to say?
A little bit.
Yeah, okay. It really means a lot, I guess. Anyway, we'll be back next month. We're going into 4th of July in the States and Canada Day here in Canada. So if you are at either location or if there's a holiday that I'm missing from somewhere else in the world, we wish you a joyous one of those as well. And we will be back next month with Mission Impossible 2. But in the meantime, look for some podcasts about the new Superman casting. We'll be talking about that at some point soon. Look for a discussion around the next Indiana Jones movie. There's a whole, obviously, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. There's a lot of movies this summer. Oppenheimer, Barbie. You know, it's off the chain, really. So stay tuned. We'll have some conversations. I don't know if we'll be able to talk about all the movies in depth. Probably don't have the time for that, but we'll do our best. And again, thank you for the support, and we'll talk to you again very soon.